Well, good morning. I hope you are doing great today. As you know, my name is Tina from A Life Designed. I wanted to pop in today and talk to you about preparing for the empty nest. I did a podcast this week on it, so if you want to look for that, I posted it in the group yesterday, and that will kind of go into detail. But my point that I'm trying to make is that we should be preparing for the empty nest while our kids are still young. And so I wanted to share some things that Paul and I have been doing with you guys, and I do some of that in the podcast. And I also want to encourage parents who might be further along, like maybe you're like us and you're getting really close to the empty nest. It's not too late. There's still so much that we can do, but preparing for the long haul, like from the beginning, is great if we can do it. And so just wanted to share with you, Paul and I have been having this conversation because it's been very obvious to us with one child in college and one now who is driving herself. Many of you guys who know my daughter, like she takes 7 dance classes a week. And so my whole life has been driving her everywhere, every night of the week. And so we're finding this newfound freedom in not having to drive her everywhere. And so what do we do with that? And we've been talking about it. And we're talking about it from the perspective of us as a couple and us as individuals. And that's something that's really important. So the idea is that when a lot of people go through this empty nest syndrome, they sort of wake up one morning looking at the person laying in bed next to them, and they're not sure who that person is anymore. And we don't want that to happen, right? And so the idea would be to stay connected throughout the years. But I know how hard that is. Trust me, I know. We're so busy with work and taking care of the kids and the house and all of the other people. It can feel like we don't have time for dating our spouse or taking care of ourselves. And I know a lot of people too have struggles. Sometimes people feel like they don't have the money to maybe hire a babysitter to go out. I just want to encourage you to really work on that block and that belief. What could you do? What can you do? Your brain loves answering questions. And so asking yourself that, if you feel like you have a block to getting out and having fun with your husband or getting out and doing something for yourself, ask yourself, what can I do? And here's something I want to share, a perfect example with you that leads into kind of what Paul and I have been doing. So I've been doing some journaling this summer and self-reflection about what do I like to do? What do I think is fun? And that's something you can do too, and I would highly encourage it. Well, one of the things I landed on was that I love to travel. I have a long list of places that I would like to see in this country and in this world. But right now, I don't necessarily want to be doing a lot of that because I do want to mostly be staying put with my daughter and my son. But what can I do, right? Like what can I do? And so actually this summer, I based our family vacation on something that I've always wanted to see, and that is the Northern Lights up on Lake Superior. Didn't actually get to see the Northern Lights. That's a long story for another time. But it was like a bucket list item, and I actually did that with the whole family, which was great. But it was also really bonding for Paul and I because I did it in a way that he would prefer more than me, and that was camping in an RV. So that was super fun, a great experience. But then for the rest of the summer, Paul and I got this great idea. We started doing Sunday fun days where we would leave just for a few hours on Sunday and drive to a nearby town to explore. We were looking for cute little downtowns or like downtowns on a river or something like that. And we would explore. And just for one example, there's more in the podcast, but for one example, one of the towns was this little town called Woodstock, Illinois, which anyone from around here has probably been there a million times and heard of it. Maybe not a million times, it's kind of tiny. But the movie Groundhog Day was filmed there. And it has this adorable little Victorian town square and lots of cute little restaurants, cute little coffee shops, and historical buildings. And so we just spent the day having some lunch, walking around, even talking to like shop owners. Like these are like small town people in their little shops, and seeing historic buildings. There's an opera house there. And so that is one example of how I'm taking something that I think is fun and something that I can do that's a big dream for sometime in the future, but I'm bringing it closer to home for right now, asking my brain, what can I do about this right now? How can I fulfill some of this that's in me right now? And so that's really what I want to leave you with, is considering, what do you think is fun for you individually? What do you think is fun for you and your husband to do? And how can you start bringing more of that into your life if you're not already doing it? And if you are already doing this, and if you think you're really good at this, that is so awesome. Congratulations. And hopefully this little reminder will be good for you. And just remembering that intentionality of kind of, beginning with the end in mind. Like we want to make this investment in ourselves and in our marriage, so that by the end of when we send our kids off to college and beyond, that we're not just completely blindsided. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to be sad and all of that. I'm definitely very sad sending my son to college, and I know I will be with my daughter, and I know there's more sadness to come, like when they move out, like for real, like they're not coming back the summers anymore. I know, like all of those things, we're not going to take away all of those sadness, but these things will help us to cope with it. And also, I know, especially all of us moms, we feel like we don't even know what we think is fun anymore. We feel like we don't even know what to do anymore. And I see my friend Jen Stack came on here. And so Jen Stack, we just had dinner together recently because I'm less tied down now because of this empty nest thing. And so that is so awesome. And that's something else that we can do more of, right? Like we spend so many years where we're not really able to connect with our friends as often as we would like, but then suddenly we don't have to drive our child everywhere 7 days a week, and we have a little bit more time. It is such a wonderful thing. And I also wanted to share, when I shared this on my Facebook feed, a friend of mine, I'm calling it empty nest, right? Like what everybody else calls it. But a friend of mine said, I prefer to call it free bird. I love the thought of that. And that is perfectly with the friend's personality who posted it. So it's so cool. And so that is my purpose today, was just to hopefully encourage you to be working on things throughout your life for your own enjoyment and for your enjoyment with your spouse. And then to let you know that I'm here if you need help with that, if you need help coming up with a plan for that, because it can feel really overwhelming. But when you work with a coach can help you take that time to see what you need to do to figure out who you are and rediscover yourself and rediscover your marriage. It's a really fun thing. I absolutely love doing it. And if you need help, I'm here for you. So I hope this was super helpful, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.